Welcome to our first podcast.
The podcast is called Let's Fight. You missed the prefatory comments from my wife, who
Where
said,
we were fighting.
please don't give lots of dumb advice. So I'm going to avoid that if possible.
We needed to have more of a structure and a plan.
I don't think so.
Yeah, just a little bit of a guide, because we have been doing marriage counseling, pre-marriage counseling. We've been married almost 19 years. Talking about marriage is very normal for us,
Yeah.
but recording ourselves is not professional and it's a little bit awkward. So
I am 46 years old. Just had a birthday.
nice.
Big 4-6. And
I know we were doing that kind of introduction.
Don't have
I'm 6 feet tall. And
I am also, I'm not 5'11", thank you. We don't have a TikTok. We don't have,
because we're old.
You made my Instagram, but I guess
you don't even use it. You have no idea.
The point of why I'm telling you guys this is weird a little bit for us. It's a weird format, but
we're not in the generation that like films everything and is always on our phone.
Right.
Except if you're writing long.
Reading and writing, I'm on my phone all the time. Recording or pictures, I'm not. I hope that I don't die soon, because you guys will feel really guilty that you have almost no pictures of me.
We sometimes
I don't take selfies.
Of you.
There's a lot of pictures of you because I adore you, and I take pictures of you with my camera. You're so beautiful.
Mostly with pictures of our kids.
Yes.
You take a lot of screenshots of things you want to remember
Yeah.
on your phone.
If I died early, it would just be a lot of Duolingo. Like, why did I get this German question wrong? Okay.
So the premise of our
podcast,
yes, which is the name Let's Fight, which I have been fighting actually for that name. I think it's more entertaining than like a serious name. And I think it's actually helpful. Like, everyone fights in marriages. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, we want to discuss what are some healthy ways to fight, right, but also fighting for our marriage in a culture that really is trying to tear marriage apart and the whole institution. So, well,
and that's also, what are you fighting for? Ultimately, Christians, this is a podcast that is of two Christians. Neither of us believe that our marriage could work without Christ, and we're fighting to glorify God through our marriage, which is what a picture of marriage is supposed to be about. Most fights end up being people fighting for happiness, fighting for comfort, fighting for validation, fighting for selfishness in different ways, expressed in different ways. And when you've decided we are fighting to be like Christ together, you have an objective standard. It's not just I'm fighting to feel this way. There are true standards that you can go to time and again. The most important element of our fighting has been the relative safety within our marriage of knowing we might disagree, we might be frustrated, but in the end, I'm on your team.
Yes, we're on the same side, even when we have disagreements, and we don't throw around the word divorce.
It's not an option.
Not something that we talk about, because we biblically think there's, one reason that you get divorced. And so if we're angry or fighting or not getting our way, that's not something that we're going to threaten or, think that it's a funny, like, oh, there's just another dig.
I think that there's a high level of safety in that's really important in helping to create an environment where both people can do well in a marriage.
Well, you also want to have some kind of a resolution, because at the end of the day, you're still going to be married to that person. So even if you're fighting and you disagree about something, you want to resolve it, because the marriage isn't changing. Like, you're still going to be married to this person. So how can we come to some kind of an understanding of each other?
But I wouldn't say that that's universally held. I would say in our case as Christians,
yes,
I guess somewhat jokingly, but I think you were somewhat serious. I've talked about manslaughter before. So there's not.
I need to explain that a little further.
Well, there's not. Thankfully, that I have never cheated on my wife or come close to cheating on my wife. But in the counseling context with others, where infidelity has been present, someone asked one time, well, what would you do if Clayton cheated on you? And she said, I would kill him. And the other person was like, whoa. And she said, well, yeah, I think so.
That seems pretty reasonable.
So the safety within our marriage, the only time that we would advocate that divorce is an option is in the case of infidelity, which does allow you biblically to treat the other person as if they're dead. And
I could assist in that if so needed.
if something like that touched our marriage, then I would maybe be dead. So anyway.
Do we need to tell a little of our story?
Yeah. How did we get there?
Mm-hmm.
Both of our parents are people who do marriage counseling. We both grew up with that. We have also found that having...
This is a dumb advice time.
No. Having arguments in front of our friends is something that surprised them.
Yes, that's true.
Most of our friends in a Southern culture that we're in a shame-based culture, feel like that they could not disagree. I mean, you'd see like, hey, stop that. And then they'd like walk off at the lake house or whatever and disappear. You might hear some raised voices, but never in front of others. And for us, it was like, what are you talking about? Like, of course, like because also it wasn't like, I better not argue with my wife because I might start cussing at her, because that doesn't ever happen. So we had disagreements and have had disagreements many times.
Continue to have disagreements
in front of our friends. Yes. And it doesn't feel weird to us or uncomfortable to us because we know we're going to disagree. We're going to talk through it. We're not going to hold on to bitterness or unforgiveness, and we're going to have a resolution. And several of our friends pointed out that we were some of the only people that they saw do that in their lives, and that it was very helpful to them. A lot of people grew up with a script from their parents that they maybe didn't fully understand. It's something we try to help people with in pre-marriage counseling. What do your parents do in terms of conflict? How do they fight? How do they resolve conflict? Some people say, my parents resolved conflict horribly. My parents never fought in front of us. My dad avoided conflict and then he ran out on our family, or my mom would get drunk whenever she was upset, or whatever the case. And so they don't have a great picture. They're not exactly sure how to do it. That's part of what we want this podcast to be about. It's not the whole thing, but we're going to talk about biblical conflict resolution. We're going to talk about how to fight well and how to fight in a way that ends with greater understanding. With also another element of that is, if you have really, really close friends, you've gone through some things with them. You've gone through some conflicts with them. You've gone through some hard times with them. And ultimately, that strengthened your friendship if it was resolved in a biblical way. I think that it's not a recommendation to try to pick fights for no reason. But if you have been in a long, healthy marriage, you have gone through really hard things with your spouse, and that has strengthened you together.
Well, and on that note, this is a little piece of advice, is we have learned, do not fight after, we say 11 p.m. because we're late night people. A lot of people, it's 10 p.m. or even earlier. It's not going to be productive. Everyone's just tired. That's when you go to the whole, like, are you hungry? Are you tired? You know, there's a lot of basic things that are impacting the way we feel about a situation.
Yeah.
And things always feel more dire at night. And in the morning, it's like, okay, fresh start. Let's not.
Yeah, don't let the sun go down in your anger. It doesn't mean that you have 22 more hours to be mad before it counts. It really means that it's something where you want to be in a healthy frame when you're having a conversation. Another element of that is parents, I think, we will do parenting advice some as well, but parents understand that they are not to match their child's energy. You don't walk up to a toddler who's having a meltdown and go, oh, vibe check. Ah! That's not how that works. You are supposed to exhibit love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, self-control. And so in conflict, if you can tell that you're losing it, you're losing your cool, then you want to calm down. Now, gentlemen, advice. This is good advice, not bad advice.
Great.
If your wife is really upset, don't say, honey, you need to calm down. Some of the worst thing that you could possibly do to that environment is to add, sweetheart, I think you just need to calm yourself. It doesn't have the intended effect at all. But think through the fact that if you're fighting and it's 11:30, you can just say, listen, we need to resolve this. We're not going to resolve this tonight. I love you so much. I'm very tired. this is not a great time for us to finish this conversation, to finish this argument. And so again, Let's Fight podcast. What is it going to be about?
Well, I think also like not just conflict within marriage, but also fighting some cultural things that are attacking marriages right now.
Absolutely. And the
culture versus biblical, because there's a lot of that right now that's coming under fire, and you'll see it in your algorithm now.
Yeah, I almost feel like I'm more of an old man than I was even 10 years ago, not just in terms of aging, but in terms of thinking. If anyone in the entire broader evangelical world didn't believe this before 1960, I don't believe it. And part of that is just a recognition that our culture is so pathetically wrapped up in presentism. And presentism is not a very fancy word. It just means they're focused on the here and now. And people are like, you know what? Everyone back in the olden times just didn't know what the truth was. They were all just grappling around in the dark. And I think that those people are fools. I think that they're also arrogant. And there's incredible wisdom. Obviously, the Bible is truth. If you're listening and you're like, I don't really buy the Bible, you're not really going to like our advice, and you're not going to think it applies.
It won't make any sense to you.
But aside from the Bible, there's wise people who have lived and learned and applied lessons that we don't need to go through some of the pain that they went through, because we can learn from them and learn from their mistakes. And in a way too, if you're a 75-year-old couple who's decided to listen to our podcast, God bless you. And thanks for listening. But I don't think that you're going to find a lot of tremendous new ways of thinking. I think you'll go, what they're saying is all very common sense. If you're 25, some of the stuff we're saying that a 75-year-old would say, of course, is going to blow your mind. And that's because our culture has shifted massively. Our culture shifted massively within the understanding of marriage, within the understanding of marriage roles, within the understanding of parenting, with the understanding of what parenting is supposed to look like. We're not finished on that front.
Yeah. We have 5 kids. I think we should do a little biographical info. So
6 feet tall, as she said before.
Yeah, I was going to actually just say, like, give us your elevator pitch, but then I think you're going to leave out things. So I almost want to give your elevator pitch.
Oh, I could do yours. You do mine. Yeah.
So Clayton Wood, he is 46, as he already mentioned. He he's an attorney. He is brilliant and went to college young and then went to law school young. We did different things. Constitutional law was your first practice in law, then nanotechnology, business law, and then felt called into ministry. So now for almost 15 years, full-time ministry, doing an after school and mentoring program in inner city Knoxville, and then Wears Valley Ranch, a home and school for kids from difficult home situations. So I would say we've been married for 18, almost 19 years. Yeah. I mean, you have some hobbies. You like to hike and backpack. You like to hunt, but you don't get to go hunting very often. You do love to read, and you read an incredible amount, and you also write. You're a big writer, and lately that has grown a lot.
Take that a lot more seriously now than I did. I was inspired somewhat in the last year, really, with death of Charlie Kirk was something that I noted, and especially thought about young men and how a lot of them seem really desperate for fathering. Was with my uncle and my cousin over on the university campus here in Knoxville, and just saw a real desperate hunger for fathering. And as I've been more called into doing a podcast, I was wrestling in my quiet time with the Lord about that, and said, Lord, you just need to use Vodi Bakum. He is much better in his steak and his sizzle, his content and his delivery than I am. And you just need to use him. And he died that afternoon. And so I don't know what the full impact of that is in my life, but I know it further made me realize that aside from just the message itself, that the medium is really important. And many people would prefer to listen to something and would prefer to watch something than to read something. I'm not like that. So it feels a little strange to me, but I think it's what we're called to.
We also planted a church, and you pastored that church for a lot of years, still a teaching elder at the church. So yes, you wear a lot of different hats and you have a lot of different jobs. And now we're adding whatever this podcast video cast is to it. So I'm hoping people just listen and don't watch, because this is not exactly, production.
I think you're
level.
so beautiful that people will be excited to watch. This is my
you.
wife, Danielle. She is 5 years younger than me. That comes up every once in a while in our debates and conversations.
I just like
so
being
old.
young. I'm like,
so
old. The older, wiser, but much older man.
say, I'm sorry, I don't relate to that. That's not my generation.
That's not my generation. Sorry, I can't understand you.
She's 5 years younger than me, and she is brilliant. I learned more about the story of how she became a nurse. She was in oncology and hematology at Vanderbilt. And then we moved to Atlanta. She was in corporate healthcare for an assisted living company. Took that site from the worst performing in their corporation to the best performing. They tried to keep her on. She went into tell them she was leaving to become a stay-at-home mom. And they offered her a huge raise and a per diem and a car. And as a supportive husband, I was like, sweetheart, what isn't there?
What kind of car?
We could have a nanny. We could have a nanny maybe. But she actually became a nurse instead of a doctor. Her brother's a brilliant doctor, and she took the same classes and did very well. And she knew that she wanted to be a mom, wanted to be a wife. It's one of the reasons that I fell in love with her. I got to watch her nanny. She nannied for NFL quarterback and his sweet kids, and she didn't nanny him. She nannied his kids. But I just watched her in that role, and I thought, man, wow, this is an amazing person. And so she knew that was her calling. And that's an unusual thing, I think, too, in our culture. It's a narrow road kind of thing. She is not making as much money as she could in her career. She is not a boss babe who is trying to get as many employees as she can underneath her. And it is not to say that we view women in the workplace as always evil. We don't think that at all. We have really wonderful friends who are doctors, who are working as lawyers, who are working in various areas. And we think that that's fine. That we think everyone should obey God's calling on their life. And God's calling on different people's lives is different. But it is also unusual and extraordinary for me to see someone who had so many options and so many choices, who chose the path of a homemaker, a wife, a mom. And she's built a ton of stuff along the way. She's administrated within different school contexts. She's been an incredible helper within our church and organizer and host. And I would say that the educational side of our kids are awesome.
We homeschool our kids. I think you left that out.
They are our kids, so I know that I'm biased, but our kids are awesome. And I think a ton of the credit for that should go to my wife. And I do give you credit for that. I don't just say, look at our kids, they're awesome.
Well, I say, like, we homeschool, and I'm like, well, technically I homeschool, and you allow me to homeschool by working a lot of different jobs.
They are just wonderful kids, 17, 15, 13, 11, and 9 years old.
When are their birthdays?
Maggie's the only girl, May 23rd, if anyone wants to know.
That's a harder one. There's a lot of kids. Birth years get complicated.
Lots in January. But yeah, we have.
It was homeschooled since the beginning. And so, yes, we've been married for almost 19 years, been parenting for 17 years plus at this point, because,
Well, and we, I would say that our care and concern for marriages and our care and concern for parenting have both been heightened by watching people we love suffer. I mean, that's a pretty blunt way of saying it, but I think it's accurate. We've watched people that we love suffer, and look, we're in a fallen world. There's a lot of hard things that we all go through. We are promised persecution if we're following Christ, but man, we've seen a lot of people suffer because of their sinful choices. And we've seen a lot of people suffer for lack of knowledge. We've seen a lot of people suffer under poor leadership, and there are things that we can talk about that, if you're like wondering, like, is it me? No, we're not. We're not sharing anyone's story.
I mean, maybe, but but it's a pattern. Like, Satan is not creative.
Right.
He does the same things again and again because they work, and so people are under attack in the same way. So yes, it might be about you, but also it's about 20 other couples that we know.
That's another huge thing I saw growing up that was really remarkable and important. In the context of marriage counseling, we never talk about anyone's marriage problems with anybody else. I think that should seem obvious, but sadly I've seen in ministry, like, people who have gossip problems. And one of my dear friends was calling me about a specific problem in their life, and I had no idea. And they said, well, I've been talking to your dad about that for like a month. I thought that you knew. I had no idea, because my dad has modeled that consistently for my entire life as a pastor, as a teacher, as a counselor. He didn't ever tell me what was happening with anybody else. And so we take that confidentiality element very seriously. At the same time, one of the most helpful things that happens in counseling, God designed us for love and for relationship. And Satan wants us in shame and isolation. It is very helpful for people to realize that they're not alone in what they're facing. And people do sometimes, in the narcissistic way, feel annoyed that they're not as special of a snowflake as they think in terms of their problem. But when someone is like, well, and then this happened, it's like, oh, okay, are you also seeing this and this and this and this? It's like, oh, did you bug my home? Have you been like, no, I don't. These are all pretty common things. And so that is a blessing too. When we talk about fighting for marriage, when we talk about parenting, we don't anticipate that everyone will benefit from every episode, but boy, we think we're going to hit on a lot of topics that have general applicability, that people go, oh yeah, I'm dealing with that. And one of the reasons that we know that is because we keep seeing the same things over and over again. And the good news is that the truth is unchanging, and that there are answers to the lies of the enemy as he seeks to attack your marriage, as he seeks to attack your family, attack your children. Are there other pieces? I have no idea how long we've been talking. Let's see, 22 minutes. Is that long enough to have a podcast episode?
The only thing I think we should include, because people will ask, just again on the biographical side, is like just a little bit of our story.
Okay.
And then
I wanted to do a whole episode on this, guys.
I don't. It's because I don't know. I don't think it's that. It's sweet. It's a very sweet story. People get to know us.
If anyone listens to our podcast, if it becomes successful at all, I will make her do a full episode on this at some point in the future. This will be the short version. Is
no, I'm not going to give like a. We have enough time.
I met you at your birthday party.
Yes, I threw myself a birthday party, and I invited friends. I transferred back to Nashville for nursing school. And so I was throwing myself a birthday party, and one of my childhood friends said, I'm going to bring 2 brothers to your birthday party, and you're going to marry one of them. And I laughed, and I said, I'm not going to marry any of your friends, because I knew his friends. But I did not know Clayton and his brother Andrew. So that is how we met. At the time, I mean, we kind of did group hangouts. They tried to set me up with his little brother because he was closer to my age because of the much older man over here. And so I would just talk to you. You were very outgoing, charismatic, interesting, kind of maddening in a way because you seemed a little arrogant, but it was pretty interesting. So that's how we met. And then I was gone all summer on a tour.
I was talking to my mom on the phone early that summer. We hadn't really been texting yet. And I said, Mom, I think my brother's really blowing it with this girl. I was like, she's got a great family. She loves Jesus. She's so beautiful. She's really smart. And my mom was like, oh, well, it sounds like you should go for her. And I said, Mom, I have a girlfriend. And she said, oh yeah, I know, I've met her. So that was a pretty strong application of motherly wisdom. Yeah.
Your mom's the best.
I was single not too long after that, and texted a lot. I had really strong texting skills, guys. For those who are in our age cohort, so
that's true.
MySpace,
that was unique. Yeah.
MySpace, AOL Instant Messenger. I had a lot of good ones.
But you had a BlackBerry because you were an attorney. Mm-hmm. So you had a BlackBerry. So I was still doing the texting per letter.
Yeah.
Waiting, ADC.
Your texting seemed slow compared to mine.
It was. It had to be. I wasn't an attorney. I was like a poor college kid babysitting to put myself through school.
No, you were on a road trip. She's in a band. She's in a band.
In the summer. That's
Small
true.
marriage complaint, okay? She's in a band. The summer that I'm initially trying to talk to her, she is on a tour out west. She is playing violin, which she plays beautifully. She leads in our church. She's wonderful, wonderfully gifted musician. Did some session work in Nashville on some albums. But so she's out west singing. Our whole marriage, she will not sing.
Listen, I was never like the lead singer.
I just want you to sing with me.
I actually did a lot of singing in like high school and college. I even got some scholarships to like be in different groups where I was singing. But he has a great voice, and it was intimidating to sing with you. But now I do. You get over things.
Sometimes.
I sing all the time.
Yeah.
You get over things, and you just don't care as much. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got back. I actually missed my first clinical. I don't think I remember to tell you that, but I was coming up from tour. I thought I had the dates right for my first clinical. I was wrong, and I missed it. But I got a call from you that same day, and you're like, "Hey, I want to take you on a date." And after that date, he was like, "Oh, I really want to kiss you right now." I was like, "Oh, no, like we're not dating because this is the first date."
I said I was gonna take it slow.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it slow because I said, we're not dating, and he'd go, "I'll see about that." Or no, you said you'll see. What did you say?
We'll see about that. We will see together
we'll see.
About that.
And then I got out of the car and just shut the door. Like that was very presumptuous of you.
It was a good move.
It was a great first date. We went downtown. He got pulled over by a cop because your tags were expired.
Yeah.
Which was hilarious. His car, he is not an actual hoarder, but he's pretty close when it comes to papers and books and things. So he did not try to impress me. He picks me up in his Camry. And it is a
very respectable car.
Of papers in it. And I'm like lifting up my feet, and it's a little messy. And then when the cop pulled you over downtown, you like dig through your trunk to find the registration papers.
We were around the back on Broadway.
First date.
I had my trunk open and I found the papers because I had the registration. I just hadn't put it on yet. And he said,
paperwork.
He said, "Oh man," he said, "I think that girl's a keeper." And I said, "Man, me too." It was our first date.
Yes. And then we went to the Capitol. We were walking around. He was telling me all this history, and he is a history nerd, and you read a lot. And it was interesting. I'm from Franklin. I grew up in Nashville. I was like, man, I didn't know all these stories. It's because he was making them up as he went. He just thought
some of it was real. But then once you got excited about it, I realized that the tour and how long it was going to be was definitely going to outstrip my knowledge of what these statues meant. So,
and I wasn't like fact checking him. I wasn't like on Google, let me check. Because also, we didn't
guys, before the smartphone era, you couldn't just hold it up and be like, "What is this statue?"
True, you actually didn't know.
Yeah, so
it was a lot of fun, and then we both knew really quickly. I mean, within like a month, we both felt pretty like nervous in a way because it seemed
they tell
pretty.
The deposition story. That's the key.
Oh, yeah.
I asked her to come and write songs with me.
Okay,
it's a very Nashville
thing
to do.
Write songs. This is what he said. Let's write songs. Which you play good. I mean, you don't really play instruments. You just sing, which is,
that's a pretty big criticism of my guitar ability, but it's pretty accurate also.
And I had written songs, but it wasn't really, again, like more on the lyric side of things, because violin is a beautiful instrument, but you're not like using that as like the foundational piece when you're writing a song. Anyway, let's write music. So I was like, oh, okay, great. So I bring a journal over. I'm already a little nervous because I'm like, I don't really share. Some of these are just like poems I've written. Anyway, bring it over. And instead he's like, actually, I'm going to grill you for the next 2 hours. I left there like sweating. I was like, I don't know what just happened. I'm confused. He had a lot of intense questions. And give us like some example questions.
I didn't realize that I was even going to do this. It certainly wasn't a big plan that I had. But I mean, part of it was around like, oh, this girl's beautiful. I thought she's kind of too good to be true, maybe. And I need to know, like, do you want to have a large dog or a small dog? How do you feel about cats? Do you plan on spanking your children? Do you support hunting? Are you reformed? Who are some of your favorite authors? What do you think about the Puritans? Certainly could have been some red flags.
Have you had an eating disorder? I mean, it was like, I knew you for 5 minutes.
Do you have an eating disorder? There were things that basically in prior relationships, I'd found out a year in that were a pretty big deal, that this time I was determined to know what I was getting myself into. Dietary restrictions. What do you think about who should be cooking and what does that look like? I actually missed a pretty big one with you, which is that you hate seafood, which is my favorite food. But
I grew up in Tennessee in the middle of landlocked Nashville, and you grew up on the Cape Cod. Yeah. So we had a different experience with that. So yes, I don't like seafood.
Didn't ask though. So in my list of 2 hours of questions,
that was enough to like knock me off the list, and that's a little bit.
In my 2 hour questions, I didn't hit it, so it doesn't matter.
Yes.
But it was great. I ended listening to all of those answers and thought, oh man, this girl's the greatest, and if I could get her, then that would be great. I told her a couple weeks later that she was the first person who I felt like if I married her, like I would.
So romantic.
How did I say?
He said, he goes, "This is the first time when I think about marrying you, I'm not afraid."
Yeah, that's what perfect love casts out fear.
It didn't come across as that. It came across like, wow, I'm not scared at the idea of marrying you. I was like,
it was like what I was trying to communicate. Yes. I communicated badly. Is that at the end of optionality with her, it felt like, well, it's fine to close all my options because I will never do better than this. And I hadn't felt that before.
Yeah.
So
I would say definitely by month 3, we knew like, you're my person. And it was scary because again, I'm much younger. So I was still in college and I just was more immature. I feel like it took a lot more for me to grow into a place where, we could get married. But we got engaged after 6 months of dating. And then 5 months after that, we were married. So all total less than a year from our first date until we got married. And I do recommend, maybe not exactly that path, but short engagements. Like if you know, and then just get married. And like we've talked about before, you can never be ready and fully like, okay, now I've, saved, I've prepared, I've worked on myself, all the things. Get married and grow up together. Like, obviously, yes, you need to be responsible. Like you were working, you had a job. It wasn't irresponsible, but at the same time, I was, I graduated in May and we got married in August. So I was young, and I feel like I grew up a lot in our marriage, and we grew together as we were also growing up.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that that's another countercultural thing that we recommend is people realize that you're going to learn a lot of those lessons. You're also going to be hardened in some things that aren't good. I mean, I went to college early, and because I went to college early, I went to law school early. Because I went to law school early, even though I'm only 5 years older than her, I owned a house. I had roommates who were renting from me, and so
he seems like at least a decade older.
There were some places in my life where I was set in my ways and things that maybe weren't like a good thing. I mean, my patterns weren't good, and there wasn't norming. We'll
I think this is the first. Why do you keep leaning forward?
Because I'm looking at the time.
I can see the time from
I have old eyes.
I'm just like, I can see the time. I think this is a great one.
Okay.
We will talk next episode. I was thinking, so we got married, and then we had one of our very first marriage fights on our honeymoon.
Yes.
On our hike.
Yes, that is a good story.
So we will talk about that next time. This is a great introduction. I am excited about doing this.
That's good.
Well, I mean, I'm a little excited.
I don't think that I think that this podcast is what we should do for now, not current events.
I think we're going to do both.
War in Ukraine.
No, here's the thing. Yeah, that's true. I think we'll do like a recap of current events on like Mondays. Like, hey, here's a recap for your week. And when I say recap, like from the previous week.
I hope that this is a podcast that is helpful information, that it's valuable information that somebody could listen to 8 years later or 10 years later and say, man, that really helped me out.
True. Okay, so thanks for listening, and we will
like and subscribe.
No, I don't even know what that means, and we don't know how to edit things, so bye.